takes one bullet. You ain't got the nerve. Try me.
Thank you for coming back to the show. Today we're gonna go ahead and review a few movies that I recently just watched, and hopefully we get them all finished today. All the recordings and the batteries stand up, and I hope even the mic quality has increased because I wasted all my fucking money on mics. So I hope that's great. So welcome back to the show where I feed my alcoholism, stupidism, and brain power into making small little reviews just for you. Where's my alcohol? Well, first and foremost, today we are going to be reviewing our first movie, Rango, which released on March 4th, 2011. And it's just a movie about a silly little lizard that's trying to find out who he is and why he's in the town of Dirt, where he finds himself between a lot of strangers, not knowing how to fit in, and trying to do his best to fit in, even though he's not really from around there. Small little spoiler of the details of what we will be talking about today, other than my depressing downfall into alcoholism and Coke, and I mean Coca-Cola. I don't know if you ever noticed, because I'm guessing a lot of us have watched the movie when we were children. Did you ever notice that Rango is a chameleon? Like, well, obviously, duh, but did you ever notice that he's the only, I was gonna say aquatic, humid animal? Like, everybody's from the desert, obviously, you know? But it really stands out that he's the only one that's not in his element. He's not in his natural habitat, even though he was a pet, right? Which is a little curious, but I digress. I spoil too much. And well, who made this movie? Well, we have our genius movie guy, George Verbinski. He also helped with a few other weird movies, like something about Pirates of the Caribbean. But his most iconic work, Budweiser Frogs. I fucking love the movie. Everybody loves Budweiser Frogs. Fucking hood classic. But yeah, he along with Paramount and Nickelodeon and JK Studios helped make this film a possibility. What did I like? What did I like about the movie? I think I really like the movie in general because of as the spoiler I gave. It gives you a sense of somebody that's trying to fit in a place where he doesn't belong to at all. I mean, he was literally left there to die by his owners irresponsibly. He does his best to fit in. And when his lie is uncovered, he still goes back to help everybody he lied to because he genuinely cares about them. Sorry about the sounding of the ice. He genuinely cares about them and he wants to rescue them, you know? Ugh. So, it's not maybe a 10 out of 10 of a movie, but I still say it's a great movie. I would have loved to know what could have been of a Rango 2. There's many things I liked about the movie, but mostly one of them is that I could basically revisit my childhood because it's a movie I saw long ago. And it helps me like self reflect on my life now. Today, and I think many people can relate that. I think we put up a front to many people. Just like in the movie, where Rango tries to fit in with everybody else in a place he doesn't belong. He takes this name, Rango, which, funny little thing, he doesn't really have a name. I don't know if anybody else notice, or just my dumbass didn't realize that Rango doesn't really have a name. His name isn't really Rango. That's the name he gave to himself. But he never really reveals his actual name, if he ever even had one. Anyways, I think it's a great piece of content for entertainment purposes, like for children, but also great content for adults to revisit. It strikes that balance between pure fun and entertainment and rewatchability when you grow up. I think it really hits. Another little fun fact that I liked was that when the armadillo is ran over and Rango wants to go ahead and help him, he doesn't really stop and think, because the armadillo tells him to go ahead and follow the opposite side of a shadow, or what? The armadillo tells Rango to go ahead and follow his shadow. But in the movie, might be wrong, but he actually goes the opposite way of his shadow, which leads him towards dirt. So you wonder, and you ask yourself if the armadillo wasn't trying to help him.
Walk out into the desert?
Ooh, destiny.
It's okay.
And it was actually indicating, hey, actually just go this way and you'll find yourself back to town.
I'm leaving
But
the road.
unfortunately, because of his own mistake, landed in the town of dirt.
Into the desert.
One of the things I didn't like about Rango, well, what didn't I like about Rango? One of the things I didn't like about Rango is that he stays in the town of dirt. Because obviously we see him there and he's trying to fit in, but that's not really how people would go to a new town. People would get to a new town and try to find their way back home, but Rango doesn't have any concerns about home at all. And that flies over our heads, which honestly is pretty good. I never even thought about that until writing the script. But yeah, he never makes an attempt to go home. He never makes an attempt to like, oh, I'm not from here or anything like that. He just, and I think that works because he immediately tries to play somebody he's not. He immediately gets to town and plays as this character and now has to commit. He can't ask for help no more because he's already committed to this part that he's made up. It's ridiculous. When it comes to technical aspects and challenges during the movie, one of the things that was done in the movie is described as emotion capture, which is basically just the actors acting out a normal setting, for in this case like Johnny Depp. He was actually acting in camera as reference footage for the animators instead of like motion capture where you got dots on your face and they start like adjusting your muscles based on how fucking dots move and everything.
Great about the way Gore Verbinski is directing this is that we're all on a stage.
Instead of motion capture, it's kind of emotion capture, using the actors as a reference for the emotion of the animated character.
Oh, now you get back on in there and you assert yourself, and I think you'll find the people of this here town to be surprisingly hospitable.
Thank you, Sheriff. What? Not you again.
I stand corrected.
In fact, there's a cut part on the Blu-ray DVD version where Rango goes ahead and because now there's an abundance of water, he actually gets to dirt, and now it's a town called Mud, and there's water everywhere. There's abundance of water, and he's told that a villain has arose in a different part in a different city, and he's now gonna go ahead and help that city, you know? So he rides off from the town of Mud to the new city, which could have led to Rango 2, which was talked about in conventions, but Verbinski didn't really like the idea, and also there wasn't a lot of, well, there was scheduling conflicts between the original actors, and obviously this was just talked in conventions, and I saw that on Reddit boards, so take it with a spoon of salt. There was also, unfortunately, a little bit of controversy about smoking, because like 60 times, around 60 times, people were smoking in the film, or the characters were smoking, or references to smoking. And just because of that, the goddamn Sacramento-based anti-smoking convention motherfuckers wanted to go ahead and rate the fucking movie as a rated R movie. Just because of this fucking smoking. It's a lot of fucking shame being from Sacramento and these people trying to pull shit like that. It's secondhand embarrassment, honestly. Jesus Christ. Now, when it comes to finances, the movie itself did pretty well. On the 4th of March on 2011, on its opening date, it actually made $38 million. Damn. And then from other countries around the world, of course, it made a total of 245,724,603 which just a little bit over that was domestically, like literally 50.3. And of course, this was not an opening day. This was with time passing by, obviously. Damn. But what do the people think? Well, on IMDb, 312,000 people went ahead and gave it 7.3 out of 10. I'd say that's pretty good. And on Letterboxd, 3.7 stars out of 5 stars. Great. Now, I'd say it's a pretty good movie, but we can actually read direct comments. User Adam Bolt gives it 4 stars and says, "Everyone is so ugly. I love it." And I agree. A lot of characters are ugly. Well, every character is pretty ugly. We love it. A lore with 4.5 star quotes part of the movie. "How can your brother be a snake when you're a lizard? My mother had a very active social life." End quote. I just cannot believe that this is a Nickelodeon movie. That was the part of the direct comment. And yes, that also flew over my head. Active social life. I'd say the same thing. Starting to get a little dizzy. Karsten says, "I remember seeing this when I was like in 7th grade, which was right around the time I started getting into film. I remember just being blown away by the visuals and creativity in animation. Not every memorable or clear in terms of story. A little messy, but a fun one. 3.5, and I'd agree, it was a pretty fun one. In general, I believe the sentiment is very positive about this movie. And if you haven't watched it in a while, I suggest you rewatch it. It's a pretty good thing. In conclusion, I think Rango is a great movie for both young and older audiences. It helped me reflect on some of the days I really don't feel like I am somebody, like a blank piece of paper. No identity at all, yet I try to fit in always that I can. What? I'm sorry, reading what I said. I try to fit in with everyone, but that's only led me to problems. Faking someone I'm not. We should not become who we want to be because of how we want others to see us. Rango began as a gunslinger and was casted out because of that same lie. He really cares about the people on Dirt, so he came back to save them, and not as Rango or the sheriff, but as himself, a resident of Dirt. But now the man dressed as a cowboy that's actually a city pet went to help his friends. But he became who he pretended to be, this time not by acting, but by his will of trying, and maybe even dying in the process. And maybe I can learn a thing or two from that. I think we can all learn a thing or two from that. Side quote, what I mentioned earlier about Rango 2. Would have loved a Rango 2, not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. If you liked the video and enjoy drinking with me, I recommend you seeing the rest of my shitty ass reviews. I barely learned how to properly light up my room and my setup with the little lights I have. So I think I'll be having this consistent lighting for most, if not all, my shots. Thank you once more for watching the review, and I hope you have a good one.